All right, so let's take a look at this real quick. We're going to create an array of objects. And this is very simple. It's just like creating an array of any other integers of the primitive data types or any array, basically. All you got to do is you have to let it know what object that you're using or what class you're using from. And we're going to be using our student class. So I'm back in my student folder wherever I created that class. And then I'm just going to create. So it has to be in there. So if you decided to practice on using a student, um, you're going to have to make sure that you're in the folder that has the student class that you created. So I'm going to create student. I'm going to have my brackets that lets it know that we've created an array. I've given a name, my students. Again, remember, you can't use Java keywords. And then I'm just going to create all my instances or all my elements in my array all on one line instead of having it multiple down. For me, it's just a little bit easier. So every time you create a new object or new element in your array of students, you got to say new student, and you don't have to give it an index. It's going to automatically know this is the first one, so that's going to be an index 0, and the element in there is going to be a student named Wenda with those test scores, and then the next one is going to go to index number 1, and that's going to be Waldo with a. So that's basically student 2 right there. And then here I've added a student, and I didn't provide any parameters just to show you what happens if what that will do and how to add parameters to each one of those, to this student at least in this array. So if we take a look at this, we can run it. Remember this this enhanced loop that we did. So for every student S in my stews, you're going to print out S. So S is just kind of like that counter. Remember, so we're going to go and we're going to print out. It should say Wenda, the scores and the average, Waldo, the average, the scores, and then just a blank student. So let's go ahead and run it. All right. So there it goes. I'm getting those errors because in here I've got this stack students that's giving me an error. That's why it's telling me that. So there you see, you got Wenda. There are the scores. There are the averages, Waldo, and then we got this blank student. So how are we going to put data into the one student? Well, by magic, I'm going to paste this in here. And all you're going to do is, if you take that index in which that student is, and then just make sure that you have the index by that student, it knows automatically that's 0, 1, and 2, and you set the name and score, it'll print out everything for you, or it'll save everything into that student class or the object, all the information, and then you can have data in there. So if we take a look at that, run it, and proceed, and there you go. There's Outlaw. We got all that stuff in there. So in a nutshell, that's basically really how you create an array of students or an array of an object. It's basically it. It's not that hard. It's just like all the other stuff. You're just throwing an object in there and doing stuff with it, basically, or just storing it and then manipulating the data with it. All right, so you have another little programming prompt that you got to complete, and this one will be a little bit harder because you're actually going to have to create a class, and then with that, send that in the class, create objects from that class into an array. All right, have fun.